welcome back to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. We're going to start off with a question answer kind of deal. So, for those who are 5D mystics or 5D frequency, mindfully loving and living people, that means you have the integration of your brain in the forefront, the restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating life in the forefront. So you have your eternal child. You have you own your mind, you own your sense of self. You are connected or connecting to pure consciousness, anima mundi, so you love harnessing unconditional love, and in fact you also have that mother of your own, the divine feminine, and if you haven't achieved complete internal secure attachment, you're working your way towards it. So that's why for you, it's something you want, to be able to stand up for yourself without hurting another, a partner or a friend, because you're a star baby and so are they. And even if we have an orphaned baby that chooses to stay with 3D, 4D and not to go and get good therapy, we're not going to be the ones who treat them with revenge or shame or blame or fault or any of that hurting business. So we allow ourselves to be that which is a mentor to each other and to stand and walk like Jesus stood and walked, and therefore to know how to be reactive when somebody is a low self-esteem, indirect communicator, and they're passive aggressive and they're going to actively not care that they are making their way of life and their past, all of it, because it's not just projection, it's also people who from their own trust breaks will bring to you characterological distinctions and judgments, meaning it's cast a stone. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example in a minute, but remember, this is for those of you who are empowering or want to be empowered. So we, empowered people, stand up for ourselves without hurting another partner or friend, but we know that we can't prove intent, which is why we're going to have some more episodes on standing up for yourself with love and integrity and without hurting another, some chit chat, and then some stories. Okay, so stay tuned. And again, you don't have to believe in mystics, but you got one right here. And also I come with lovely God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. So my faith begins in a specific way. And then I got clairs as I got older. And our planet also went through this beautiful transformation. I've been on it for a while now. So I have a very different way of bringing it to you. And the regular viewers and listeners know about it. And so remembering there's no wrong path, so we do accept that there will be defeat, meaning a group of people will not be joining us on this pure consciousness journey. They don't have to be in the frequency of that, which is the enlightenment frequency and unconditional love, because they don't have to be pure consciousness. And if they don't get themselves to a therapist, the reality is a bunch of them won't. So we leave it alone, because every state of consciousness has the free will, although as Robert Sapolsky would point out, a science of life without free will. So they have been determined with childhood trauma. The sad part is they actively, again, walk around wanting to be able to bring it to us, tell us what a wife and a husband need to look like, or they couple, their days have become a part of this too. So the ones who want to stay in what is a threat, safety behavior, nervous system, versus those of us who instead do mindfulness and spirituality, living and loving. So that is where the whole self is, when you're able to live a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self, because you know how to be your own safe haven, secure base. It's called I'm internally securely attached. I'm a whole self Maria, and as a healthy self-worth person, I get to stand up for myself with a ventrovagal nervous system engaged. So I'm socially engaging, which means that my prefrontal, because I have integration of the brain, I'm not with trauma charges. And even if you are, I know how to be differentiated. And differentiation supports me to maintain my guitar string in the frequency of love and empowerment. The other doesn't matter, because they can recalibrate to mine, and because their birthright is to be in a restorative embodiment, and because their birthright is to have their whole self, this is the moment of truth, if they accept that which is in their presence, or if they reject, meaning become reactive, and it's very straightforward how that works. So, can you stand up for yourself without hurting another, a partner, a friend? Yes, if you choose love. And unconditional love means that you will accept, respect, and love others even if they are acting in complete biologically rude ways. Doesn't matter. As long as there's no physical threat, you can stand up and present to somebody the equation. Let's see. The gist of stories are not decent enough to be saluted. Ha ha ha. That person. Other man, these are all men, and no, I don't find men safe at all. Believe me, actually, the toxic man that is in a fancy suit, I can't say that he makes me comfortable. He makes me completely uncomfortable, as do all the rest of the men that are supporting toxic masculinity. However, I support laws and go vote, and I do support and believe in our group and our community coming together to be there when scary things and these unfortunate toxic men, as well as toxic women, by the way, and toxic days are around. So we'll build our communities to support and protect each other. That's the best thing we can do. In the meantime, please do remember mental, emotional, physical intelligence win. Life wins, not those who are ancients. Those who are ancients, they seem to be the more dominant, but survival of the fittest. The fittest are the smart ones, not the ones who use their 3-year-old brain and don't get out of their threat safety behaviors. And, again, they're pretty much just maintaining a balance of sorts, if you will. As a mystic, I have seen the future. It'll be okay. In the meantime, though, let's all of us who know what health is come together, because, again, the ones who are not going to, well, we want to make sure that we can allow ourselves to feel as safe as possible. It is unfortunate. But that man friend of mine that did the, you want it, why don't you give it to him? He wasn't physically threatening because he was pissy in that moment, because as a friend of mine, we had an interaction prior to when he comes up to me and does that, and what a person who has trauma and or trust breaks and or low self-esteem, insecure human being, is why they're all basically, to me, human being 44. There's only been 2 men that I have encountered in the recent years that I physically will say, okay, I feel unsafe. And in those moments when they were there, luckily they didn't stick around too long. The one of the times I got up and left, the other time I didn't, because there were people that I loved that I didn't want to leave. They got up and left. So, but your gut is a good gut when you have healthy self-worth and you're an empowered from here human being, and that's because you trust yourself. But I don't have childhood trauma charges. I have an eternal child, okay, because Maria has a relationship with all of her emotions and the depths of my emotions. So I please want you to remember, we can use determined, or we can also use, for me, God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, definitely. Claire's also, but the reality is when you learn from the attachment trauma educators, we're all a nervous system. So you and I will be vibing near each other. I'm a blank slate because I have empowerment. And that's why that fancy lady doesn't know shit about herself, because she thinks that people who show no emotions is dangerous. Not only this, we don't show no emotion. It's called I'm a blank slate because I'm not afraid of you and I'm not afraid of me, and I'm not trying to scan me or you to prove anything. I don't need this. I'm good. I'm not an orphan. I'm not disowned. I'm not destructive. I'm not afraid of losing my spot in the herd. So to a person who's not only armored and shut but doesn't have access to the right mode of their brain because they didn't develop it, because you don't develop the access to your inner world if you don't work to have an inner child that is a grown-up, and she totally doesn't want that. In fact, she brutally dissects modern day therapy. So anyways, and she's only one of the many spokespeople who are against therapy, as well as that fancy man, again, in a suit. So people who are not physically threatened to healthy self-worth gut will not be somebody that like, let me react. No, we will not be reactive, because also we're not going to shame, blame, fault, revenge. We don't have any unresolved childhood shit that we're throwing at. So, this is unfortunate. When people have their childhood trauma, they go and throw it around each other. So yeah, they yell, they get spiteful. Again, all things I met as a teenager. So unkindness, betrayal, unreliability, anything that takes you by surprise is not evil like the movies. I mean, it's just a person who didn't head on over, again, to get their good therapy. They don't want it, so they don't actually give a shit about having an interaction with a person without hurting their feelings. So let's remember again, I do, which is why I didn't try to hurt the, am I not decent enough? No, I just don't want to be your friend. I consistently didn't communicate anything, not like, not dislike. When he presented a lie, you're going to become my friend. I was like, no, because I'm a person who's going to stay with integrity. My other friend, he comes up to me. I said, no, I don't want him. He's my friend. I don't know what you're talking about. And because it was just a reaction of a little kid, oh, okay. And in fact, my friend and I, we hug, we love each other just like yesterday. And this is the same friend who, well, lo and behold, he did swipe a kiss that nobody let him swipe, but he was drunk, he was vulnerable. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's kid stuff because again, I have a person who I recognize. In fact, I'm pretty sure my friend has either alters or some shit going down. He's blended, doesn't know how to recognize it, and I'm not the therapist of him. No, I'm a friend and I'm not a codependent. So I'm not going to tell him what to do with his life. Also, I'm not bothered by insecure people because there's bountiful of Cuscos all over the place. And really, it's more of I have to choose that which is important. I find it important to grow my friendships, and I love my friend. He's cool. I hope his well-being is he doesn't want to go to therapy. He doesn't have to. He lives job like a bunch of other people. He's not the only human being. Again, and that's why I'm like, there's more people than not who think that they're living the highlight of their life, and why should I be the one to say they're not? That's not nice. You know what I mean? It's also, again, only codependent martyr superiors do that shit. I'm not. I'm an independent. Internal secure attachment. You choose it. If you want it, then you're going to have it. So the other story, my lovely Karen connection, my lovely rainbow child baby. So this one, he's special, very special. And I knew it. I knew it from the moment I laid eyes on him. I knew it because that's how mystic works. I'm feminine though, not the other ones. Feminines, the true ones, they know their oversoul like the back of their hand. It's like a smell you don't ever forget. Well, again, enlightenment soul age. We're going to get to the stories. But long story short, I knew, and in fact, I was right. But the story of this one is that basically from one word, I respond, and now I'm getting yelled at like completely. He's offline and I'm stuttering to allow myself to try and regain what is a beautiful connection. In the meantime, I'm also self-regulating. So that's why when you're able to mindfully be aware, accountable, and regulate, and you're a spirituality awakened person and you enjoy the true spirituality process, whether you're a mystic or not, what this means for those of you who are not mystics, let me share with you. Give me 1 second, as our lovely Sadhguru also has quotes today. So understanding spirituality, the way I'm going to bring it to you is that you are a person who can be in a physiological state of compassion. So you are enjoying what I'm sharing, you put it into practice yourself, or if you don't, you're curious to put it into practice. For me, I'm a feminine, I'm a nurturer. I have a whole inner child. I got a twin, so I don't have any issues having the opportunity to repair what are ruptures because we just always hug it out. And that's why Robert Sapolsky with Determined is something valuable and important. As for God and Jesus and Holy Spirit, I bring it to you with unconditional love. We got fear-mongering human beings who don't. They bring them all to you and Holy Spirit with fear, with shame. They are disrespecting Reiki, yoga. They're disrespecting a bunch of those heritages of other groups because they're non-bilaterally integrated. And in cognitive dissonance, I will leave it alone because I don't want to go there right now. I want to close this up. So a spiritually awakened person will know that Holy Spirit, Reiki, one and the same, universal love transmission, that tarot isn't bad. They will also know God, source, universe. We use different words. There's different energetic imprints for them. But that which is dark matter, dark energy, that which is pure consciousness, that which is within the sphere of consciousness, which is not to be seen, in my opinion, as a matrix. And it sounds silly when they do it like that. It's more of, I like the heart of the sky, because that's what we are surrounded by in sciences and spirituality. Really, they come together to share with us the beauty of what it is to have purity. And purity means you don't hurt another person, because you're going to want to make sure that you can leave with smiles. So the thing is, imagine children and you not wanting any child to cry. That's what pure consciousness wants. Little hummingbird makes it all the way, thanks to the beauty of the mind, thanks to the infinity of the connection that we know we each are. And it's sad to see people who think that they are not hurting each other. In the meantime, again, it makes me sad when I think of how much human beings out there, all of them, that are yelling at each other, don't really understand what it means to not cast a stone. To not cast a stones means that I have the capacity, one, with sciences and spirituality, to remind you all, 8 billion people, or however many and more, they all will have began their number one. Two, if they don't own, observe, witness, narrate, their own sense of self, and they don't own their core narrative relational self, and they don't care to, no, I got plenty of stories you're going to hear about them. So we're going to see their projection, and they don't care if they hurt each other or not, like my teenage boyfriend. I mean, he didn't hurt my feelings because I'm a feminine. As a feminine, I didn't have this connection, not disconnected from this. I'm not disconnected from God. I'm not disconnected from any of it. It's consistently with me. You don't represent any threat to me if you have no weapon in your hand. You can't threaten my heart. It's in my chest. You can't threaten my 1-year-old. She's internally securely attached. You can't threaten shit except for when you're meeting those who you love. But I got plenty of loved ones, and I'm a grown 44-year-old woman. So the only ones who you will have, quote unquote, hit home, they're the ones that I grew up with already. I'm already there. It's only those who have that connection that you would want this, and you learn how to not give a shit about getting this because you learn how it's okay to be different. So again, and that we all choose if we want to learn to self-regulate, and that's the part of why we're talking about mindfulness, living and loving, and the difference, because not everybody does care to be spiritually awakened in this way, to understand that spirituality is a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self, and that it is based on how we can welcome each other with our differences, but it's with that self-awareness, accountability, and regulation, and the absence of projecting. So we're going to continue the conversation. Come on back if you want to join us. In the meantime, thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And if you know anybody who wants to live life with love in the forefront, send them our way, with being their self, with integrity, and with that which is a healthy self-worth type of lifestyle. So we're all about non-reactivity, because we don't have to be reactive in our sympathetic unless we're in a physical life threat, which we don't want that to happen either. So we'll be back again in a little bit.